for last 3 decades.
Hello and welcome. This is India Global. I'm Arjun Samar Mahindran, and here are the headlines this Tuesday. 6 months, zero movement as India extends its airspace ban to Pakistan Airlines till the 24th of October. Donald Trump and RFK Jr. promote unproven claims about autism, linking it to paracetamol, declaring it dangerous for pregnant women. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar meets Marco Rubio at UNGA sidelines. Key bilateral and global issues, including energy, pharmaceuticals, and critical minerals, discussed. UK PM Keir Starmer expected to visit India in October. Talks with PM Modi on education and defence sectors likely. And amid Trump's visa crackdown, India's Srini Gopalan to lead T-Mobile and Rahul Goyal set to lead Molson Coors. Viewers, New York External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar has met U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, in fact, on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly. Now, the high-stakes meeting comes amid growing tensions over trade tariffs and also the steep visa fee hikes that have, in fact, rattled Indian tech firms. Meanwhile, both leaders discussed key bilateral and global issues, including energy, pharmaceuticals, and critical minerals as well. While no public comments were made after the meeting, Jaishankar posted online calling for sustained engagement on priority areas. Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal, meanwhile, is also in the US this week as both sides pushed for a breakthrough in stalled trade talks. Now, the meeting signals a possible reset or a thaw in ties as India and the US work through growing economic and diplomatic friction. President Trump addresses the UNGA just a few hours from now, while EAM Jaishankar speaks later this week, to be precise, on the 27th. My colleague Vishal Vivek joins us for more on this. Vishal, the External Affairs Minister meeting Marco Rubio just ahead of the UNGA. Piyush Goyal is there. How do you see this going, and can we expect a big decision coming in before the return of the External Affairs Minister Jaishankar and Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal back to India?
Yes, that's exactly right, and this is yet another step, a big step in the direction of re-establishing and consolidating the ties that had sort of plummeted in the recent past. Ever since Trump's repeated tirades against the Indian administration, and also his deputies repeated attacks on the PM of India. So the ties seem to be getting back on track. Is what we've seen in the recent past. In the last 15 days or so, we've had several meetings. This is Piyush Goyal's visit to the US, and also our foreign minister is in the US territory. He's already met his counterpart from the US side, and the details of the meeting have not been shared, but we can gather that these are some really positive signs, because as soon as the meeting got over, as Jaishankar had displayed that the thumbs up sign, so that also shows that the ties are getting back on track after several weeks of attacks from both the sides, mostly from the US side, during which his deputies had repeatedly attacked the Indian Prime Minister and questioned India's foreign policy on several fronts, to which experts had already rebuffed, because the argument that India buying oil from the Russian side and that in turn funneling the Ukraine war does not really make any sense, because it was the US in the original place that had recommended India to do so back when COVID hit the world economy. So all of these talks could have figured in the all of these things could have figured in the talks, but we are yet to get the details of the talks. But these are indeed some really positive signs.
Now, Vishal, we recently saw the US administration, Donald Trump, making that H-1B $100,000 announcement just recently. How is it being perceived on the Indian side? It came just a couple of days before the External Affairs Minister was slated to, in fact, be in New York. Is this being seen as another pressure tactic by US President Donald Trump and the subsequent amendments they made to the initial announcement where they said it'll be a blanket $100,000 fees every year for people applying for new H-1B visas, which since the statement has changed not one but multiple times?
Well, Trump's flip-flop on the H-1B visa program has been known. He has just, in the last 1 year itself, made twice, different statements. Back in December 2024, he had said that he supports the H-1B program, but cut to this month, about 9 months from the last year, he's saying the opposite, and he's clearly claiming that H-1B program needs to be, analyzed, and he has clearly brought in this $100,000, program in place, and that seems to have deterred a lot of people who would have wished to go to the U.S. to, a lot of high-tech, graduates who would have gone to the U.S. to propel the U.S. economy, propel the U.S. technology, but that will have to be analyzed. It's still really early to, say what will be the effect. But of course, when it comes to H-1B visa, Indians are the most, when it comes to the people going to the U.S. On that visa. Close to almost 3 lakh people are in the U.S. who are on this H-1B visa. China is distant second with about 11% of the total H-1B visa grantees. So all of this will have to be analyzed in the near future, because a lot of people are arguing that the fact that the US economy, the US tech industry has boomed in the recent past, in the last 10 years or so, that has really been hinging on the talent that has gone from the Indian soil to the US soil. So what will happen to that? Will this be a brain drain, for the US economy? So all of that will have to be analyzed.
Well, thank you so much for getting us the latest there, Vishal. Moving on and shifting our focus homewards now, viewers. It's been 6 months and there's been zero movement, absolutely no movement. This as India has extended its airspace ban. It's Pakistan's diplomatic stunts and hollow retaliation that keep raising the costs without any cause or consequence. Let me underline that. Now the sky war continues. Here's the breakdown. Pakistan shut its skies 6 months ago, not in strength, but in spite. After April's Pahalgam terror attack, Islamabad slammed airspace shut for Indian aircraft. Not a shred of evidence shared, no responsibility whatsoever, just outright denial. This week, the tired game continues. Pakistan extended its airspace ban on the 22nd of September. India replied in kind. But here's the truth. Islamabad has more bark than bite. India's aviation sector is global. It is ever expanding and ever active. Pakistan's grounded and gasping, just like its economy. Only 6 weekly PIA flights to Malaysia used Indian airspace. That's about it. So who's really losing here? Pakistan's ban hurts India operationally, but it hurts Islamabad politically. It shows a country willing to weaponize its airspace for optics while failing to clean up its terror-linked backyard. Yet India hasn't shut its skies to the world. Unlike Pakistan's closed-door posture, Indian airspace remains open to all other international carriers. Meanwhile, Pakistan is stuck playing a petty, performative airspace war it really can't afford and can barely participate in. We shift our focus westwards back to the US, where Donald Trump has ignited yet another controversy. That's correct. Now, in the latest, Trump is under fire after linking a common pain-relieving drug, Tylenol in this case, to autism in unborn children. Now, at a press conference alongside Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy, Trump said pregnant women should limit or even stop using Tylenol. Now, Trump's claim is not backed by science. That's what we're getting to here. The president called it a historic medical breakthrough nonetheless And what's more, he's pushing for delayed childhood vaccines and new autism cures. However, experts quickly push back. Meanwhile, listen in to what Donald Trump said.
Don't take Tylenol. There's no downside. Don't take it. You'll be uncomfortable. It won't be as easy, maybe, but don't take it. If you're pregnant, don't take Tylenol.
The real concern we have is we know that autism and the spectrum disorders are multifaceted. They run in families. There's clearly a genetic component. And so to pin it all on a medication like acetaminophen is just hard to believe.
As you see, medical researchers are saying there's no proven link between Tylenol and autism in the US. Additionally, they're also warning that this rhetoric could in fact mislead families and put material health at risk. For more on this, I am joined by Padma Shri awardee and chairman and MD of the Nephron Clinic, Dr. Sanjeev Bagai. Thank you so much for taking out the time and speaking with us. Now, I'll straight away get to the million-dollar question here, Dr. Bagai. Does Donald Trump, or do his claims have any sort of medical efficacy or backing, sir?
Good afternoon. So let's go straight to the point as far as science is concerned. Autism is now called as autism spectrum disorder because it's a syndromic spread of varying and overlapping symptoms which often can mimic attention deficit disorder or hyperactive disorder or even places like schizophrenia and OCD, that's your obsessive compulsive disorders. Now, this is multifactorial. There is no cause and effect as a linear relationship. There is a very strong family link. There is a familial link. Genetics play a role ranging from 10% going up to 94%. And we have a chromosome link as the short arm of chromosome number 16. There are prenatal drugs, mainly anticonvulsants. There are environmental factors. Air pollution plays a very big role. Plastic pollution plays a very big role. And of course, maternal diabetes during pregnancy and hypertension. What does the science say as far as peer-reviewed literature is concerned? There is a very, very small study of just a handful of children which have shown a doubtful, inconclusive pointer towards autism linked with acetaminophen, which is Tylenol. Larger studies, which are really from the Anquist data, in which 2.5 million children have been studied, no association found. The largest study from Japan of 2 lakh children, no link found. There is no link as a meta-analysis of 2018 either with vaccination. There is a SIP control study which has been published in JAMA in 2024 in which they have analyzed 1.86 lakh children, no association found. So acetaminophen has to be prescribed in pregnancy like any other drug in pregnancy with caution, with dose control, only on medical grounds. That's the common advice which is given for any medication during pregnancy. But to single out Tylenol is dangerous, it's premature, it's foolhardy, and it can be risky. So let me explain why it can be risky not taking acetaminophen or paracetamol. The safest drugs amongst all antipyretics, which is fever control medicines, is acetaminophen or paracetamol. Almost 20% of pregnancies have some sort of indication for fever, infection, inflammation. If you don't treat it, the fever itself can cause more harm. The infection itself can cause more harm to the fetus. Like I said, there is no indication of a direct link. This is inconclusive, and it would be very premature to label acetaminophen. The messaging can go wrong. I think the messaging should be science-based. No politician should enter into the medical arena to give advice which is not authentic, not scientific, and not data-backed. Over to you.
Dr. Bagai, very, very important point you raised there. The messaging should be scientific. Very, very quickly, Dr. Bagai, how should public health institutions respond to such high-level pseudoscience, if we may call it that?
I think these kind of statements should be dismissed straight away. There is no doubt in it. Medical science has to be evidence-based. It has to be research-based. It has to be data-proven. Multi-analysis, meta-analysis of lakhs of children. In fact, one of the studies has 2.5 million children which have been analyzed, pregnancy fetuses, and then the newborn child. There has been no link which is statistically significant with regards paracetamol.
No link says no link there, says Dr. Bagai. Dr. Bagai, we'll have to move on due to paucity of time. But thank you so much for putting clarity for the benefit of viewers. This being such an important story that we're breaking here on India Global this Tuesday. Now, moving on, in a powerful moment on the UN floor, French President Emmanuel Macron has formally recognized the state of Palestine. His words were clear: this is not a reward, it's a right. He was not alone. He was joined by Monaco, Belgium, Andorra, Malta, and Luxembourg, bringing the total global recognition to over 75% of the UN membership, the existing present UN membership. That is, the Palestinian delegation, meanwhile, also stood in applause. And what about Israel? Well, its chairs sat empty. But tensions have escalated. Israel has warned of potential annexation of the West Bank now. The US called on recognitions provocative and has also threatened reciprocal action. Meanwhile, Israel has intensified its bombardment of Gaza City, killing dozens more as global leaders plead for peace. A proposed UN security force for Gaza, disarmament of Hamas, and a reformed Palestinian Authority now dominate negotiations. But with Israel still opposing recognition and the US divided, the diplomatic road ahead is steep and possibly short. And as Macron said, the time for peace is now or not at all. We're joined by Umer Anas. He is the Associate Professor at the Ankara Yildirim University in Turkey for more. Professor Anas, my first question to you. Does Israel risk isolating itself diplomatically if annexation follows these recognitions? And to be precise, there have been 12 recognitions in the past 2 days alone.
We have come to a point where we have seen that the entire Islamic and the Arab world and many of European countries are deeply frustrated of Israeli actions and America's unilateral actions about Israel. So what they are faced with is that there is complete collapse of the idea of two-state solution, which means that Israeli occupation of West Bank is coming, and they are much more convinced now that the Israeli politics in Palestine was never in favor of a Palestinian state, a sustainable Palestinian state.
It begs the question, can a reformed Palestinian Authority realistically govern Gaza after Hamas? Because we've not really seen condemnation against Hamas coming in, and the very idea of a reformed Palestinian Authority, how realistic is it? And how much time would this actually take?
The problem is that who will decide what is a reformed Palestinian Authority? For Israelis, for Americans, a reformed Palestinian Authority means a useless authority. And the Arabs and Europeans, they would like to have a credible state institution to take the charge in Gaza and in West Bank as well. So I think that the Israelis have no idea what they are doing. And the kind of anger and frustration which is coming from the Arab world, I think that the region is just very few days or months away from a major conflict. The streets are very angry. The politicians are angry. Even the countries which had signed the Abraham Accord with Israel in hope that they would get something in return, especially the emergence of some sort of Palestinian Authority, is that they are also very angry. For example, the United Arab Emirates, they had invested so much in peace with Israel, but they have found that the Israelis' plan are for expansionism. And this situation reminds me the events of 1956 when Europeans were supporting Israel for the takeover of the Suez Canal against Egypt. And at that time, Americans had intervened to rescue the Egyptian side, and they had forced Israelis to step back from the Suez Canal occupation.
Well, that I like to say the semantics were rather different. You know, you could compare the 2025 semantics to 1956. I don't think that will be just. But are we witnessing a genuine diplomatic shift here, or just a symbolism that moves really with no teeth? 12 countries have, at least 12 countries have recognized Palestinian statehood only in the last 2 days. The total number stands well above 75% at the UN, but nothing seems to come out of it. Is this just symbolism, or will this have real teeth? Very quickly.
I think that even if it is a symbolic support, symbolic recognition, it is a big step, very big step, because the European public opinion is now becoming very close, very much in favor of Palestinian state. And I mean, even American public opinion is coming very close to recognize the Palestinian state. So that is a big blow to Israeli expansion. And Israelis are losing the public opinion in most of its allies' societies. So that is a big challenge for Netanyahu and his government.
A big challenge for Netanyahu. Thank you so much for joining us on this important topic that, of course, we will keep on discussing till a logical conclusion is eventually reached. And with that, it's time we slip into a short break. Much more on the other side. Don't you go anywhere.
Just one last delivery. Your coffee.
Thank you.
Shall we? Same time tomorrow?
If you're lucky.
Yeah, that's exactly what a super comfy bed and choice of pillows will do to you. Get better sleep for your money. Book now at Premier Inn.
Time to go to sleep now.
I can't sleep without Bunny.
Where is Bunny?
Downstairs with Grandma.
Is he? I'll better go and get him then, hadn't I?
For 50 years, Stana has been helping people continue to enjoy life upstairs. And with stair lifts fitted in less than a day, you can carry on just as normal.
But Bunny can't sleep without Teddy.
Contact Stana now. Stana, enjoy the life upstairs.
Life is complicated. Hastings Direct Car Insurance is simple. You've got a lot going on. A lot. Trying to save could really grind your gears. So come on, let's get a great deal off the ground! Nice driving. Hastings Direct is simple. Great cover, great price, and a great app makes us one of the UK's top choices when comparing car insurance online. Hastings Direct. Simplicity is the best policy.
Now that retirement's here, it's time for me to focus on the things that really matter in life, like making sure my family can manage funeral costs when I'm no longer around. Which reminds me.
Welcome to British Seniors, the UK's #1 rated provider of over 50s life insurance.
Hi, I'd like a quick quote, please.
No problem. We're proud to offer our seniors lifetime guarantee, with 100% of claims having been paid. We guarantee your premiums will never go up and that you'll speak to one of our specialists in the UK. UK residents aged 50 to 80 are guaranteed to be accepted. Depending on your age, your loved ones can get a cash payout up to £10,000.
That money could help cover my funeral costs or be a gift for my grandson. I'll do it.
Plus, when you sign up, you'll receive a £135 gift card and free 24/7 GP advice and health services.
Be proud to protect your loved ones with British Seniors. To get a free life insurance quote today, call our UK team on 0800 881 5090 or visit britishseniors.co.uk.
Welcome back to India Global viewers. In a week of visa crackdowns, two Indian origin leaders are heading in the opposite direction. Srini Gopalan at T-Mobile and Rahul Goyal at Molson Coors. Now, these are bold moves that challenge the anti-immigrant narrative, and rightly so, right at the top. We leave you with this very special report.
While Washington debates who gets in, US boardrooms are quietly deciding who gets to lead. And this fall, two new names are sending a clear signal. Skill still matters. Srini Gopalan will take over as CEO of T-Mobile, a telecom heavyweight with $81 billion in revenue and 70,000 employees. Gopalan grew up in Delhi, studied at DPS in St. Stephen's, then IIMA, and built his global resume at Airtel, Vodafone, and Deutsche Telekom. And now he's expected to lead a competitive comeback against Verizon, AT&T, and Comcast. Rahul Goyal also steps up, this time to the top job at Molson Coors, the world's fourth largest brewer. An engineer from Mysuru who moved into business leadership in Denver, Goyal's rise has been long and tedious, but steady. He'll take over on October 1st with a mandate to modernize the legacy brand. But the irony, both appointments come just as US immigration rhetoric hardens, especially around Indian professionals. Both boardrooms seem unmoved by slogans. Their eyes are still on the outcomes. At a time when borders tighten, opportunity hasn't shut out. It's just become more selective. And Gopalan and Goyal have made the cut. Bureau Report, NDTV World.
Does your loo roll make you feel good? Who Gives a Crap donates 50% of their profits to good causes. So when nature calls, here's your answer. Add some woo to your loo with feel-good toilet paper. Who Gives a Crap?
Don't miss Sharp's half-price end-of-season savings. Get Sharp's bespoke fitted furniture for every room, from living spaces to home offices and bedrooms. Many ranges are now half price, including our must-have Manhattan range. Our exclusive Space Plus system means we won't be beaten on space. Plus, you get our 15-year guarantee for total peace of mind. Don't miss Sharp's half-price end-of-season savings. Book your free home design visit today at sharps.co.uk.
In People's Postcode Lottery's October draws, there's a share of £23.2 million to be won. Sign up before midnight on the 30th of September.
Yes, I've won £1,000! Play bingo at Tombola for free! There's £100,000 to be won throughout September. Open for fun.
I think that there's something that's always there that I just need to uncover. Like, I know I'm gonna get there, but I have to be patient with myself. That's probably the scary part for me. And it's okay, like, if you completely pivot and change. You know, you have to be comfortable with that.
Sometimes it's the little things that remind us of them. Stay close, even when you're far apart. Send money worldwide with Remitly.
The big breaking news is coming from Kerala, where in fact the Customs Department is conducting raids, we understand, in about 30 different locations, and they are raiding high net worth individuals, people including film stars Dilker Salman and Prithviraj Sukumar as well. The entire episode is said to be codenamed as Numko, which is a Bhutanese word for high-end luxury cars, and this particular scam that the Customs Department seems to be investigating is about the illegal import of high-end luxury cars, and it is said that these cars were being routed via Bhutan as used vehicles and being brought into India, and at Himachal Pradesh they were being re-registered and subsequently being sold for 4 to 5 times the amount at which they were sold in Bhutan. And what we are being told is that these could also be decommissioned vehicles of the Royal Bhutan Army as well, and there are many high-end vehicles in this, and the raids are happening. In fact, in Thiruvananthapuram, Kochi, Thrissur, Malappuram and other areas as well, as many as 30 different places. What we are being told is that the residences of both Dulquer Salman, who's a huge star in Malayalam cinema and of course son of actor Mammootty, and also Prithviraj Sukumar, who also of course comes from a very big film family and himself a huge star in Kerala and elsewhere as well. Both their residences are said to have been raided as well, and the idea is to find out whether these industrialists, film stars and also the car dealers have the proper documentation for each of these stars. In case they have the documentation, then the probe will not go further. But what is being suspected is that if they do not have the documentation, then the high-end cars are going to be seized by the authorities. And yes, in the next few hours, we should be able to get an official word from the Customs Department on all of this. We are also joined by my colleague from Kerala, if you are able to get him, Ashwin Nandkumar, for more details on this. If we have Ashwin there, would you be able to tell us in how many locations we are having these kind of raids, and how are Prithviraj Sukumaran as well as Dulquer Salman involved, please?
Well, Uma, what has essentially happened is that the Customs Department was trying to trace these vehicles which has reached Kerala and other parts of the country. What they are saying, as per some of the customs sources, around 150 vehicles have been illegally brought to India without paying any kind of import duty or any kind of customs duty. They were brought in via road and then re-registered in Himachal Pradesh, brought to Kerala, re-registered again in Kerala. Now, these have been sold at a cost which is almost 5 times more than what these vehicles have been bought. What we get to also pick up from our sources is that, Uma, that this particular vehicles were bought in bulk from the Bhutanese Royal Army. These were vintage, many were vintage vehicles, many were disposed vehicles by the Bhutanese Royal Army, and these were somehow procured by these illegal agents and then brought in an illegal manner and being sold. What we picking up from Kochi is that 2 vehicles which are belonging to Dulquer Salman has been taken by the Customs Department. In fact, the Customs will also give more details about this entire operation. The operation has been code-named Operation Namkhor, and what they say is around 20 vehicles have been sold so far in Kerala. They are tracing the whereabouts of the remaining vehicles as well. At least 5 districts in Kerala spanning from Kozhikode, Kannur, Thrissur, Kochi, and Thiruvananthapuram, there has been multiple raids that are ongoing. The prominent one being that of Prithviraj Sukumaran's home as well as Dulquer Salman's home in Kochi.